I stood in that courtroom in Bozeman, Montana, with no lawyer beside me, and my husband's whole family laughed. "She can't even afford a decent pair of shoes," his sister muttered, loud enough for the whole gallery to hear. Everyone nodded along like it was already decided. Everyone was so sure, until Judge Callahan looked past me, straight at my husband's attorney, and said, "She's not who you think she is." My husband's smile disappeared like someone had pulled a plug. "My name's Dana Marsh. I'm 32 years old. For 5 years, I played the part of the quiet, broke wife of a rising real estate developer in this town. He thought I sold candles online for extra grocery money. He thought I was somebody he could toss out the second his business took off. He had no idea I was actually the lead investigator for the county's financial crimes division, working a case that had his name written all over it since before we even said I do. Before I tell you how his whole world came apart in one afternoon, tell me, where are you watching from tonight?" It started on a Friday in late October, the night of our 5th anniversary. I'd driven 40 minutes into town after work, cold rain hammering my windshield, just to pick up the bottle of bourbon Tom had been dropping hints about for 2 weeks. I remember riding up in the elevator of our building with my coat soaked through, still stupid enough to feel hopeful. I thought we'd order takeout, pop that bottle, and toast 5 years of building a life together. I had no idea the man waiting inside had already decided. I wasn't part of his future. I unlocked the door, and the first thing that hit me wasn't the smell of dinner. It was cardboard. 3 moving boxes stacked in the middle of our living room, right on the rug I'd picked out myself. One was already split open, my sweaters spilling out onto the hardwood like garbage nobody wanted. Tom was on the couch, a glass of whiskey in his hand, still in his work suit, not a hair out of place. He looked at me the way you'd look at a bill you forgot to pay. "You're home early," he said. Stared at the boxes, rain still dripping off my coat onto the floor. "Tom, what is this? Why are my clothes packed?" "It's our anniversary." He didn't even set the glass down. He reached for a stack of papers on the coffee table and slid them toward me. "Divorce papers," he said. "I signed my half already. I need yours by tonight. Don't bother reading the money section. My lawyer made it airtight. You get what you brought into this marriage, which is nothing." I stood there frozen, the bourbon bottle suddenly heavy in my hands. "You're divorcing me? Tonight?" He laughed, short and cold. "There's never a good day for bad news, Dana. I'm not trying to make this ugly. I'm just moving in a different direction. And honestly, you don't fit the picture anymore." He stood up, circling the coffee table, looking me over like I was something he'd tracked in on his boot. "I closed on the Ridgeline property this week. $11 million, Dana. I'm about to be somebody in this town, and you sell candles out of our garage." I let him keep talking. I wanted to hear exactly how far he'd go. "You're boring, Dana," he went on, like he'd rehearsed it in the mirror. "No drive, no ambition. Content just existing. I need someone who actually understands the world I'm stepping into now, someone who can stand next to me at a ribbon cutting and not embarrass me." I looked at the boxes of my clothes. I thought about the mortgage payments I'd quietly covered for 2 years while he reinvested his commissions into flashier trucks and watches. I thought about the papers on the table, waiting for my signature like they already knew I'd fold. A weaker version of me might have cried, might have begged him to talk about it like adults. I didn't. The same part of my brain that had spent 6 years building financial fraud cases against men, exactly like him, just went quiet and cold. He thought I was some small-town nobody who'd sign and disappear without a fight. He thought my candle money meant I had nothing to stand on. That's when I heard heels on the stairs behind me. A woman came down our staircase like she'd lived there for years, mid-20s, glossy blonde hair, wearing my cream cashmere robe, the one I'd bought myself for my birthday and hung in our closet, not hers. She crossed the room and slid her hand onto Tom's arm like she was claiming a trophy. "This is Kayla," Tom said, easy as introducing a coworker. "She's been helping me on the Ridgeline deal. She actually gets what I'm building." Kayla gave me a small, pitying smile. "I know this is hard, Dana, but you should really just sign tonight. A good divorce lawyer wants a retainer you flat out don't have." I filed her name away. Kayla, Ridgeline. I'd be hearing both again very soon. Tom pulled out his phone and held up our joint banking app. The balance read 0. "Moved everything to a business account this morning," he said, smirking. "Called the bank about the joint card, too. You're off everything. Whatever's in your purse is what you've got." "You emptied our accounts," I said quietly. "I'm protecting what's mine," he said. "My commissions, my hours. You brought in what? 12 grand last year from candles? That barely covered the electric bill." I thought about the $18,000 of my own savings. I'd wired into the down payment on this condo 3 years ago, quietly, so he'd never have to ask where it came from. What about the money I put into this place? Kayla actually laughed. "Dana, you really don't understand how any of this works." "We used your contribution," Tom said smoothly. "But do you remember the closing paperwork?" My attorney drew up a second agreement, classifying it as a gift, not equity. "The deed's solely in my name. You've got 0 claim." I knew exactly what I'd signed. I'd let him put the deed in his name for reasons that had nothing to do with trust and everything to do with keeping my real job and the accounts I was quietly watching off the radar. He thought he'd outsmarted me with a basic real estate trick. He had no idea that claiming sole ownership also meant claiming sole responsibility for something my office had been tracking for 4 months. But I needed him to feel like he'd already won. "So that's it," I said, letting my voice crack just slightly. "No money, no cards, nowhere to go tonight." "Call one of your candle friends," Tom said, checking his watch. "Or find a motel. Just be gone by midnight." I picked up the folder of divorce papers, grabbed the one gray duffel bag by the door that looked, to him, like nothing more than an old gym bag, and walked out without looking back.